everybody, it's Savannah here, and today I'm going to tell you about the fine art of getting an A in chemistry. So chemistry is a very, very hard subject for a lot of people. I'm very fortunate. It runs in my family that chemistry is a little bit easy for me, but I do not learn easily. So it's like one of the easier subjects just because I'm a math side. So I'll just go over what I did. I've gotten an A in chemistry the past 2 quarters and currently have an A in chemistry. Okay, so the first thing that I would suggest is getting your basics down. So chemistry is based off of math, and like math, it builds up on its basics. So when your teacher starts talking about polyatomics, the names of things, how to bond things, when you're writing the equation and you're bonding the things and you're balancing equations, all of that, chemistry Lang, anything that's in the first 8 weeks of school, the first half of the semester, really pay attention to that. Because if you don't, then you're going to struggle the rest of the year. And if you are later in the year and you want to get an A this semester or this quarter, go back and look at what happened in semester 1 and really make sure that you understand that, because it'll make your butt, it will save your butt. Because in the second quarter of my school's in quarters, I didn't really have to try that hard in chemistry because I had the basics down in the first quarter. As said, as soon as you learn something, if you do not understand it, make sure that you go and get help. My school has chem lab, which is in the mornings and after school. If you have people that you know that took chemistry, if you don't have chem lab, then go and ask them questions that you have. Just go and get tutoring if you need it. Make sure that you have those basics down. And then if later on, if there's stuff that you still don't, if there's later on stuff that you don't understand, make sure that you also do go out and seek the help, especially if you want to go into AP chemistry or organic chemistry or even be in the medical field, because you're going to have to take more chemistry classes. So, as I said before, just stay on top of things. As soon as you don't understand anything, go and get help. Make sure that you do that lab that's due. Make sure that you study for every single quiz and every single test. Just stay on top of things, because if you do not, you will regret it, and by the end of the quarter, you'll have 20 things that you need to do for chemistry, and you'll have a C in chemistry, and teachers really mark down late work, especially if you're in college. It can be they may not even take late work, so just really stay on top of things. On that subject, I would really suggest prioritizing. So just know what percent everything is in your class. In my class, tests and labs are worth the same percent of my grade. Each are worth 30%. And then quizzes are worth 20%. Homework, and then homework is worth 10%. And then there's other, which is the other 10%. I think I got that right. So just know what's worth what. So that way, if you have a lab and let's say a homework, do the lab first and spend more time on the lab, because that is worth more of your grade than the homework. And then if you have a lab and quiz, do the lab and then study less for the quiz. Just really prioritize. And if you know that you're only going to have 2 tests per quarter, and let's say you know that you're going to have 10 labs, well, guess what? Even though the labs and the tests are worth the same amount of your grade, 30%, because you have more labs, each lab is worth less percent of your grade than the tests. So if you have a lab and a test, and you know that you're only going to have 2 tests, then study for that test and spend less time on the lab. And it's pretty much just a math equation. Weird mathy person. Okay, and the big thing that I would suggest, especially in this subject, and it goes with everything in school, is do not procrastinate. If you procrastinate, everything will kick you in the butt. Because if you learn something in class and you don't review it the day that you learned it, so that way you understand what you don't understand, and you go and get that help. If you don't go and get that help, then you are going to be lost. And by the time that quiz comes, you won't be ready. And then if you weren't ready for the quiz, then you won't be ready for the test. And if you weren't ready even for the quiz, then maybe you weren't ready for the homework, and if you weren't ready for the homework, then you weren't ready for the lab, and it just kind of snowballs. So you have to keep on top of it. Like, even when you have burnout, even when you don't want to do anything, you have to stay on top of chemistry, especially chemistry, and I would suggest your other classes. So yeah, bye. I hope that this was helpful.